And he said, There was a man who had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me. And he divided his property between them. The parable opens with a shocking request that would have stunned Jesus' original listeners. In asking for his inheritance while his father still lived, the younger son was essentially saying, I wish you were dead. Your money means more to me than our relationship. This was the ultimate rejection and insult in an honor-based culture. But what's even more shocking is the father's response. Instead of rebuking his son or having him beaten for such disrespect, he grants the request. He allows his son the freedom to choose, even when that choice will lead to disaster. This reveals a profound truth about God. He honors our free will, even when it breaks his heart. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country, and there he squandered his property in reckless living. The son couldn't get far enough away. The far country represents more than physical distance, it's spiritual and relational separation from the father. The word squandered means he scattered his wealth carelessly. Reckless living suggests debauchery and immorality. He was searching for fulfillment in everything except his father's house. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. The descent is complete. From wealthy heir to pig farmer, the ultimate humiliation for a Jewish boy, since pigs were unclean animals. He's so hungry he covets the carob pods fed to the pigs, which were barely nutritious and tasted terrible. This is rock bottom, alone, starving, and spiritually bankrupt. A common mistake we make is thinking we need to hit rock bottom before we come to our senses. But the father would have welcomed him home at any point in his descent. But when he came to himself, he said, How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will rise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. The turning point comes when he came to himself. Sin makes us strangers to ourselves, alienated from our true identity as God's children. His rehearsed speech shows he understands he has forfeited his sonship but hopes for mercy as a hired servant. He's still operating on a performance basis, thinking he must earn his way back. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. This is one of the most beautiful scenes in all of Scripture. The father had been watching and waiting. The Greek tense suggests continuous action. He was always watching. When he sees his son, he doesn't wait for him to arrive, he runs. In that culture, dignified older men didn't run, it was considered shameful. But the father sacrifices his dignity to welcome his son. His compassion overrides cultural expectations. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring quickly the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead, and is alive again, he was lost, and is found. And they began to celebrate. The father interrupts his son's rehearsed speech before he can mention becoming a hired servant. He immediately restores him to full sonship. The best robe signifies honor, the ring represents authority, and the shoes indicate he's a free son, not a barefoot slave. The fattened calf was reserved for special occasions. This is a lavish celebration. The father's response reveals an insider secret about grace. God doesn't just forgive us, he restores us completely and celebrates our return. Now, his older son was in the field. And as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. The story could have ended here, but Jesus introduces the older brother to confront the Pharisees listening. The older brother represents the religious who trust in their own righteousness. His anger reveals his true heart. He's been serving for reward, not love. His refusal to join the celebration dishonors his father just as much as the younger brother's rebellion did. His father came out and entreated him, but he answered his father, "Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command, yet you never gave me a young goat, that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him." The older brother's speech is revealing. He says served like a slave, not loved like a son. He claims perfect obedience, which is self-deception. He reduces his relationship to transaction. "I obeyed, so you owe me." He can't even call him my brother. "It's this son of yours." His self-righteousness has made him just as lost as his brother, but in a more subtle way. And he said to him, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead, and is alive, he was lost, and is found." The father's tender response to his angry son is breathtaking. He calls him son, affirming their relationship. He reminds him that everything already belongs to him. The celebration doesn't diminish the older son's inheritance, it reveals the father's heart. The parable ends abruptly, leaving the older brother's response unknown, an invitation to the Pharisees, and to us, to examine our own hearts. So what are the moral lessons we can learn from the parable of the prodigal son? First, God's love welcomes repentant sinners unconditionally, restoring them to full sonship. Second, self-righteousness can be just as alienating from God as blatant sin. Third, God's grace is earned by either rebellion or obedience. It is freely given to both the irreligious and the religious. And finally, our true identity isn't based on our performance but on our position as God's beloved children. The parable of the prodigal son is really about two lost sons and one seeking father. It reveals that whether we break God's laws like the younger brother or keep them like the older brother, we equally need the Father's grace. If this story of radical grace and unconditional love has spoken to your heart, whether you identify more with the younger brother, the older brother, or want to embrace the Father's heart. For both, please like and subscribe to this channel.